Hello, I am the Silver Wheel Witch. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing another flip through book review. Today's book is going to be Green Witchcraft by Paige Vanderbeck. And I'm excited to be doing this book review today. This book is an excellent book for the very beginner. For someone who is interested in green witchcraft and wants just basically something to paint the picture, a good overview. She doesn't really go very deep in depth on the information in this book, but she covers so much. So it's a good starting place, as well as she in this book gives a lot of herbs and plants to work with, and then gives you practical application as well. And I find that the spell work and the recipes that are in this book are great for beginners. I would actually love this book too for young adults, teenagers, except that it does have some poisonous plants in there, so that's something to consider. I personally would have loved to have this book as my first book, Introduction into Green Witchcraft. For those of you who don't know, Green Witchcraft is where I started. It's my foundation. I do a lot more than that now, but I always love finding a good green witchcraft book. And this one, while it's very basic, it touches on everything, and it's a really good book. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look at it. So we have Green Witchcraft, a practical guide to discovering the magic of plants, herbs, crystals, and beyond by Paige Vanderbeck. I'll have to see what the publisher is inside the cover. And it gives a blurb about the book and the author. Let's go ahead and take a look inside. The title page looks like the illustrations were done by Studio Muti, and the publisher is Rockridge Press. Here's that nice green. It's really nice, coloring and pictures and stuff throughout as well. So that's, I find, really nice for beginners as well. It's a nice touch. Copyright is 2020. And it says, dedicated to Jimmy Hoppa, rest in peace, my lucky moon rabbit. And the contents are short and sweet, and I will go ahead and read these to you. It has an introduction. The book is split into two parts. We've got part 1, which is Understanding Green Witchcraft. Chapter 1, The Way of the Green Witch. Chapter 2, Harnessing the Powers of the Green Witch. Chapter 3, Connecting with the Natural World. Then we get into part 2, Practicing Green Witchcraft. Chapter 4, Flourishing with Flowers. Chapter 5, The Power of Plants. Chapter 6, Healing with Herbs and Greens. Chapter 7, The Wisdom of Wood. Chapter 8, The Strength of Stone and Crystal. It looks like we've also got a conclusion, resources, a glossary, and an index. So we have a nice introduction here that's 1 page long. And the beginning part has some information here. It says, in part 1 of this book, we'll cover everything you need to know before embarking on the path of green witchcraft, including some history, values and beliefs, the necessary tools, and making your space ready to work with plants and stones. I'll explain what words like magic and energy actually mean to witches, and some of the myths and misconceptions about magic and the people who believe in it. And then she gets on with the chapters. So let's take a look at what we have inside here. Okay. Green Witch Tradition. This is nice. She's got some examples. I can't be a green witch because, and some common excuses. and reasons why you can practice. A little blurb about spirituality and witchcraft and finding your path. Another little insert, worldly witchcraft. And so that's it. Nice, short and simple part 1 with some basics, introduction. And then we have chapter 2. Oh, I guess that's chapter 2. We're still in part 1. Sorry about that. Harnessing the powers. Finding your harmonies. So she's got these really nice different colored fonts in here, which I like. Some different sized fonts. It's a really light read. Definitely, especially if you've practiced before. I mean, it's a lot of basic information. But for someone who's brand new, it's light, easy to read. You know, it's got a lot of visual aesthetic to it that's nice. It's got things like, you know, the Wheel of the Year, charts in here. Very simple versions, but, you know, a good overall review. Just as an introduction, really, to then find some more in-depth beginner books. You would basically know pretty well if Green Witchcraft is something you'd want to pursue after reading this book. And now we're really into part 2. Okay, so it's part 1's good size. Part 2 states, in this part, we'll further explore the use of flowers, plants, herbs, and other natural elements in your Green Witchcraft practice for healing, spells, and more. I'll explain how to source specific materials, as well as their energies and magical purposes. You'll also find safety tips, precautions, and best practices, as well as practical exercises. Explains what each of her points are for her correspondence. And then I believe it's split up into the type of plant. So the first section is on flowers, and we just have a bunch of flowers here, correspondence, and then flowers in practice. And here's where you have some spells and practical applications. You got things like bath salts and a ritual for self-love, great ritual spells, a dream pillow, excellent for beginners. Then we have the power of plants, and we have some more plant correspondences, and then plants in practice. So got a cleansing wand, a charm bag, just very well-rounded, knot work, you know, a little bit of everything in here. Not really in depth, but, you know, a great introduction. So we've got Gardening by the Moon. It gives you an introduction to the moon phases and the elements. And then we go into herbs, which again, we've got the correspondences, and then the spell work, how to make some Van oil, psychic hangover tea, a salve, lucky rabbit's foot. And then chapter 7, she goes into wood, so using trees and saps and the like, which is nice. And then again, we have more simple spell work, incense, wands. And then she's got some information here on a, let's see, willow tree full moon meditation. So she's got some meditation work in there, a little introduction to that. And then she also adds in the crystals, which is great because a lot of Green Witchcraft uses not only the plants, but the stones as well. So there you have it. And stones and crystals in practice. Aura cleanse, a grid. So very well balanced. definitely very basic, but I found her book to be very well-rounded. Good for anyone also who's just interested or curious about witchcraft as well and kind of wants to take a look, but really perfect for anyone looking into doing green witchcraft and they haven't practiced at all before. This would be great. Let's take a look at her resources here. We've got 2 pages for her resources. 2018, 2004, 2014, so looks like the 2000s, 2010. It is a newer book, so a lot of the resources look like they're all in the 2000s. Okay, and then she does have a glossary. Let's take a look at this and see. Some very basic terms. Only 3 pages. So, you know, again, it's not very in-depth, but it's a starting point. And she does have a nice index in here. Looks like her index is 4 pages long. And it's not a very thick book, so pretty good index, I think, for the size of the book. And in the back here, we have the acknowledgments, and we have about the author. I'll go ahead and read this. Paige Vanderbeck has been the host of the Fat Feminist Witch podcast since 2015, but rode into witchcraft on the Wiccan wave of the 1990s. Despite being a total Capricorn, she's always entertained the mystical and unbelievable and has made the search for it her life's purpose. She's written and spoken about modern witchcraft, fat acceptance, and feminism on her own website, Medium, Revelist, The Dot, and Flare, and the New World Witchery, Magic, and Mediums Cannabis Act, and Hippie Witch podcasts. She trained as a doula with To Labor in New York City, studied history and humanities at Douglas College in British Columbia, and graduated from the Tourism and Travel program at St. Clair College in Ontario. Paige lives in Windsor, Ontario, Canada, with her cat Clover, a beta named Fish, and a house full of ghosts. Visit her online at thefatfeministwitch.com. All right. And then we have a couple blank pages, and there you have it. Short and sweet, beautiful book, excellent for beginners. I also actually happen to have a written book review on this one on my WordPress blog site, so the information links to that, if you'd like to see it, are in my About section on my channel. I'll give you my social media links there. And if you have any questions, please let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.